All right, are we back? Sorry about that. I need to turn off, I don't know, whatever device it is, whatever program it is that listens to your phone and you talk to it. I evidently said something that it wanted to help me with, and it literally said, "Oh yeah, I'm here to help you. Let me stop your stream." I'm back, Jordan. I'm back. It's fine.
She said you sound a little muffled.
Well,
Just because you're not in your room.
yeah, I'm out here in the open.
Yeah, you showing them the zebras today?
Yeah,
Okay.
but the
That's a
stupid,
good shot.
yeah, the stupid AI on here, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
I said something and it goes, "Okay, I'll assist you," and it killed the stream and popped up and said, "What can I help you with today?"
Yeah, maybe avoid saying that name.
I didn't say the name. It was something else. I don't know.
Okay.
I'll try
All
to.
right.
I'll figure it out later.
Okay.
Hey, Trez Lightly, how's it going? Yeah, I got a treat for y'all today. These are, sorry about reflections and the water's not the cleanest. This tank is overdue. But, all that being said, these are Zebra Plecos L046. And that's some Rapashi food for them, so I figured we watch them for a couple minutes, let y'all get a good look at them. They may or may not actually come out and try to eat the food. But yeah, these are Zebra Plecos. Morning, Sarah. Sorry about the hiccup at the start. Yeah, and this is how Mother Nature made them. Doesn't get much cooler than that, really. In their natural environment, they live in a very fast-flowing river, super clear water. And supposedly that pattern, there's so much sunlight that filters through that pattern between the sparkling sunlight and the rocks and everything. It actually breaks up their silhouette and supposedly makes them harder to see under those conditions. So that's why Mother Nature decided to do it to give them this pattern. But yeah, they're super critically endangered in the wild. They're only found one place in the world. I forget, Jordan could probably tell you. But it's and the problem, yeah, Carbon, that's the same. There's a Zebra Pleco in the Discord, yeah. Hey OG, how's it going? But they had a long stretch of river that they lived in, and the local government. Oh my goodness! Holy mackerel! This is just a full surprise stream today. Things are falling down on me. Oh man. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, sorry about that. Now I've succeeded in scaring the fish too. It's dangerous out here. But anyway, they had one nice long stretch of river, but the local government, for the sake of the people, they needed electricity, and they dammed the river up to make a hydroelectric power. So it significantly reduced their habitat down to just a fraction of what it used to be. And then poachers have come in over the last few years because they are so in high demand in the aquarium trade. Poachers come in and grab them at nighttime when the game wardens aren't out there. I think it's Brazil. Yeah. Well, it treads lightly. If you keep a good top on your tank, your cats won't be able to get in there. But yeah, because of all those factors, they are critically endangered. They have already, in years past, they have banned export from the country that they originate from. So you cannot. Used to be you could get wild caught, quote unquote, and import it, but they have banned that. So now pretty much you can only get them from, I think there's a breeder in Asia and a breeder in Europe, big giant breeders that actually breed them on a massive scale, or try to, and they pretty much control the world market at this point, other than little tiny people like me, Jordan and I, who locally breed them. We might get to the point where, yeah, it's a tragedy for sure. We might get to the point, though, soon. They're going to have a meeting this fall to discuss the status of this fish, and if it's bad news, then they will go to even the strictest restriction they can, which means no trading or selling across any borders. And if that's the case, then the people in the United States, right now you have fish guys, not breeders, but importers in the United States that get theirs imported from those two big breeders in Asia or Europe. But if that happens, then anybody here in the United States who wants a zebra pleco, it will be very difficult to get a hold of them, other than any local breeders like Jordan and I. And there's a few of us out there, some lone breeders. But yeah, this fish right now, as it sits, because of its rarity, these are practically adults, and they're worth $200 to $300 a piece, easily. But if that happens, then the price could double or triple on these fish. Part of me wants to say, oh yeah, that'd be awesome, because I'm breeding them and I can make babies and I can sell them, and maybe eventually we can buy our plot of land and live out in the country like we dream of. But that would help. But the other part of me thinks that it's a crying shame, because it means that they're not doing well in the wild at all, and it means that we could be on the precipice of losing this fish, which would be a big disaster. And I know there's been lots of species that have gone extinct in my lifetime. This one, just because of my hobby and stuff, this one hits me closer to home. So I want to do all I can to help propagate the species so that maybe someday they can be reintroduced into the wild, if they don't get their act together over there and they do totally go away. So hopefully that won't happen. I'd rather have good news for them in the wild, because there's no substitute for them to be in the wild than living in glass boxes. But at the same time, I'd like to do my part to help preserve them. But in the meantime, they're really cool fish. This is as big as they get. I don't recommend keeping them with other plecos, because they're very shy eaters. If you had bristlenose in here with them, the bristlenose would be all over that food, and it'd be gone, and the zebras wouldn't get any. So when people occasionally do buy some off of me, I tell them, try to have a species only tank. If you're not gonna breed them, but you just want one, just make it one tank for the zebra, and make it a smallish nano tank with shrimp and small tiny fish in it, and the zebra could be and should be your centerpiece fish for that tank. And that way he won't have anybody to compete with him and he won't starve to death. Unfortunately, a lot of people who buy zebras throw them in a huge giant tank with all their other plecos because they're pleco collectors. They just want one of everything. And usually the poor little zebra ends up, they don't know it because they hide a lot, but a year goes by and they'll be like, I haven't seen my zebra pleco in forever. And they don't realize that he's a skeleton because he didn't get any food. So it's just not a great situation to throw him in with a bunch of other bottom feeders. But in my case, I keep them all species specific, and we're basically breeding colonies, and they all, of course, get along fine with each other. You're gonna have a little tussling here and there between males, but nothing. I've rarely seen in my I've been lucky maybe, but in my tanks I try to give them enough places to hide, and they usually don't fight and injure each other. I have seen it posted on social media of people who have zebras where they get injured. Sometimes a female will get injured in the process of spawning because they are cave spawners. But so it can happen, but you try to keep an eye out for it. Yeah, it's funny. I saw a diver there where they locally are from. They will buddy up with a larger pleco. But see, in the natural environment, there's so much rocks and stuff for them to eat that there's no danger of them starving to death because there's just abundance of food for everybody. But what they will do is they'll hang out with a larger species of pleco and just kind of be their buddy. And because they can fit, a zebra is so small enough he can fit in the crack or a crevice where two rocks come together. And so if anything bigger comes by, he just darts into there and he's fine. Yeah, Regulus, they do really like their peace and security. But they're awesome little fish, and hopefully I'm in the process of resetting up. This is a grow out tank. Every fish in here I have spawned. So these came from the original adults. Nainer says, how many do you think you have in that tank? I think when I put them in here a couple years ago, there was 38. And they have spawned a couple of spawns by themselves. So there's 2 or 3 youngsters that have survived. This tank isn't really set up for youngsters to survive that well in it because it's kind of crowded. But yeah, there's probably at least 40, maybe 45 zebras in here. Neo says, do all fish have an identifying letter and number? Like you said, these are L something. Yeah, Neo, the plecos, in the world of plecos, sucker-mouth catfish, when they were discovering a lot of these, even recently, the scientists didn't really want to take time to assign them a name, so they thought it was easier just to assign them an L number. And so almost... bristlenose don't have an L number, I don't think. I don't think they do. Because at this point, they're practically a man-made fish. But anything found in the wild, they just said, well, let's just give it an L number. We'll figure out what to call it later. So yeah, that's why you hear people use, oh, it's an L, like these are L046. The whiptail catfish are L0010. My super whites are L236Ws. But yeah, these my starlights are L183s. That's a starlight. So they just use L numbers. It's kind of an easier way to catalog everything. But I've probably bored you for 15 minutes on the zebras, so I'll give you one last look at them, and I'll leave them alone, and they'll come out and eat because I'm here trying to crash and burn everything around me, obviously. But yeah, they're cool little fish. My second favorite all-time pleco. Jana fell in love with them, so she bought some a while back. They're not the easiest to breed. It's safety in numbers, you know. When you're small fish, you got to be aware. But fortunately, they're not the easiest to breed. But we got them to breed finally, and so we'll keep on working on it. And hopefully they'll start doing better in the wild. The local government, is trying to protect them, but it's a hard job. With poachers coming in the middle of the night, etc., etc. And the weird thing about the two, oh yeah, well, I think everybody knows her name's Jana. But maybe, I don't know. I might get in trouble later, I don't know. But the two giant breeders, the tough thing about the two giant breeders overseas is that they are doing their best to try to control the release of females. They basically only want to sell males because they don't want competition. So there's that. So it's tough to get females. You just have to buy a bunch of small ones and hope you get lucky, and that's basically what happened to us. A lot of luck involved. All right, I'm going to pick us up, and we're going to travel for a bit. So I'm gonna put my finger over the lens so you guys don't have to suffer too much. Magic School Bus. I used to love that show. All right, we're back at the main tank. Yeah, carbon. Okay. I doubt that you'll be able to see, but I got some awesome news about this tank. You know, as you know, we recently set it back up. And the 236 Super Whites, I showed you the Super Whites. I don't know if this will... That's basically a drawing of the Super Whites. Thanks, Regulus. But anyway, they can also produce a yellow and black version, and it's kind of it's not real common either. And I saw the white version first and fell in love with them, and then I saw black and gold or black and yellow, and I thought, man, those are awesome too. So my whites have been spawning and making babies for a little while now, and every once in a while one of the youngsters will come out kind of yellow looking. And so, against the advice of Jordan, I am saving some yellow adults. Their yellow isn't the greatest, right? And I'll be the first to admit that. But what I'm hoping is I want to get the yellow adults together and let them breed, and then hopefully one of their babies might look better than the parent, and you go from there. You know, it's called selective breeding. So you just when you're a breeder, there's a lot of hope and finger crossing, and time and patience. But the good news is we've taken our first step with this tank, because I put in a male and a couple of girls, and it looks like, and I know I've confirmed, but I don't think you guys, your odds of actually seeing it are really slim. Cute. I did that too. Pick a pretty wife to have better looking babies. There you go, y'all. But anyway, in this cave right here, yeah, if you can see that male, hey, Alka? I don't know how to pronounce it. I apologize. But anyway, this guy here, Ali, maybe? You can see he's black and pretty kind of yellow. But he is on eggs. He is on a batch of eggs. So we're going to have some babies soon. If all goes well, he'll be in there protecting the eggs for about 5 to 7 days. And then they'll hatch. At that point, they're just basically little egg sac wigglers. We call them wigglers because they're nothing but Regulus, it is. I'm excited. But they basically look like an egg with a head and a tail coming off of it, and they're roly-poly. They do have their sucker mouth, so they'll hang on. So they're not like they get rolling around and weeble wobbles, but they don't fall down kind of thing. So they do hang on to the inside of the cave, but Dad protects them because they are super vulnerable. But he will not allow anybody in that cave. He will guard them with his life. And then 7 days they'll hatch. Another 10 days to 2 weeks maybe it'll take for them to use up their yolk sac. Yeah, plecos are awesome dads usually. Most of them are. They'll use up their yolk sac. Well, when that happens, then they're basically little replicas of the parents, but they get hungry. And even though Dad sometimes is reluctant to let them go, they'll work their way past him to vacate the cave and go about, the baby birds leaving the nest kind of deal. And that's why, for my part, now that I know they're on the way, hopefully, you never count your chickens. But I'm going to probably leave the tank light on longer to help grow more algae. Because when they're little, they'll eat algae and pretty much anything. Cheap. Hey, Jude X. But the good thing is I feed Rapashi. And I also, when I know I have young plecos in a tank, just coming out of the cave, I also throw in a powdered food, a dried powdered food, and that powder goes everywhere. And so it's a good way to, no matter where they're holed up, some powder is going to get to them, and they can munch on it. Do they come in different color stripes or just the black and the white? Yeah, that's what I was saying, Neil. These are kind of have a yellow tinge to them, so I'm trying to breed the yellow with the yellows to maybe get some better looking yellow babies. And you selectively breed and just try to keep on going with that. Morning, Judex. Oh, the zebra. No, the zebra, that's it. That's the way Mother Nature made them. Man has not tried to mess with them. In my mind, it's practically a perfect fish the way it looks now. I don't know why you would want to really mess with it. Black and white the stripes, that's it. Does the dad leave to eat or stay there the entire time and not eat? Yeah, Drogo, he will starve himself. The mom just, she goes in, does her business, and she's gone. But in the case of plecos, they do not eat. Oh, that's great. Okay. And I don't know if he's not going to do it constantly, but you can see that he'll fan his tail. And what they're doing there, he wiggles all his fins. He's just making sure there's good water flow in and out of the cave so that the eggs do not fungus, because they will fungus if they were in stagnant water. And that's why most plecos come from very swift moving water. It's just better for their eggs. So he'll sit there and just wiggle his fins the whole time. And yeah, he burns up a lot of energy doing his dad thing. But we'll see. I've had pleco fathers accidentally maybe kick their eggs out. And they'll be, I'll check on them in the morning. And if the eggs are laying out, I'm going to have to rescue them. But in a perfect world, I like to let the dad do his thing, and hopefully they don't get outside the cave. Hey, Cuddle Hunter. How's it going? Glad you're here. But we're just naturally talking about plecos because that's mainly what Jordan and I breed. There's also some panda Cory catfish in here. I tried to set this tank up so that I'm not going to be messing with it, but yeah, they can still be successful and have some breeding going on. The Corys can breed, make babies. The plecos that are in here can breed and make babies. And a couple of years goes by and I've got just plecos and Corys coming out of my ears, I can break the tank down and catch everything if I have to. Basically that's what I'm having to do with the tank below it. It's the 55 gallon. The plecos have been breeding in it for a while, and I've got a bunch of babies in there, so I'm gonna have to tear the whole tank apart and start catching everybody and move them around and take count and inventory and see who's ready to sell and who's still too small or who's too big. Cuddle Hunter says, are there breeds that are harder to breed? Yes, for sure. I don't know if you were here earlier, but I showed everybody the zebra plecos in a different room. Those are not considered easy. The super whites are not considered easy. We have a couple species that are not considered easy. The bristlenose plecos, just your common colors, super reds, snow whites, and most of your bristlenose, anybody can breed a bristlenose. Basically, the old saying is, if you want to breed bristlenose, just put a male and female in water, and you're good to go. Treads Lightly said, are there special size requirements before selling? Yeah, I don't like to sell too young, and that's just because, and some breeders do, because honestly, if you're in it for total just 100% profit, space is always a tough thing, and to breed fish takes more space than to import them and move them in and out. You just have a facility where you import and you export, and you just ship them out. You have a website, you import from across the pond or Florida. There's big breeders in Florida, and it becomes a money thing where you have demand, and so people will and then you get your website set up, etc. I could go that route, but I'm not a fan of that route. because you're not quarantining fish. You're probably getting sick fish. They're not homebred. They're bred somewhere else. And going back to size, the problem is those big breeders want them out ASAP because they've got more batches coming. So they will sell them to the supplier, your fish stores, big box pet stores or mom and pops even. They want to sell them as soon as possible. So most of the time it could be when they're only a month old and they're only half an inch long. Yeah, Raquel, quality is fish is better. Yeah, I always tell everybody, if you can find a local breeder, once you know what fish you want, look for a local breeder. If you're lucky enough to have somebody that breeds them, go ahead and pay the extra money. It's going to be more expensive, but it's so worth it. And I'm not just saying that because I am one. You can do your research and figure it out. But yeah, so I don't sell my fish. Plus, there's always the risk of just a young fish having a birth defect. You don't know. And Mother Nature is cruel sometimes, and, survival of the fittest and all that. So I figure if I have a batch of youngsters, I would rather raise them up, and I take any casualties that might happen. I absorb that, and it's par for the course sometimes. And usually it's not that bad, but at the same time, I don't want to sell a fish too young and then it just dies on my customer, because then they're upset at me. So I will hold fish longer on purpose to know that they're past what I consider the fragile stage, and they're doing good. They're showing good signs of growth. They're eating well. I don't have any disease in the house, so I know there's nothing wrong with them. And so my conscience is clear in that I'm selling you a healthy fish, quote unquote. Carmen said the pet store by my house has horrible fish, and they're always sick, and they have dead ones in the tank. Yeah, I know. It's like I said, they don't really care. Plus, the other thing, the big box stores, if you ever go back in there, go ahead and put your hand up on the tank and feel the temperature of the water. They keep it cold on purpose because cold water inhibits the fish's metabolism. It slows everything down. So if they're sick, it slows the disease down. When you take them home and you put them, and you're like, well, this is a tropical fish. It needs to be 78 degrees, not 65. So you take them home, you acclimate them, you do everything you're supposed to do, and and the heat's up on the tank. Their metabolism speeds up, and all of a sudden the disease really takes hold, and boom, your fish is dead. So that's a little trick that they use at the big box stores to slow the fish down. But yeah, if you don't believe me, put your hand on the tank next time you're in there, and you'll feel it's like, wow, it's chilly. And the fish are sluggish and everything else. But Neo says, do you do turtles? No, Neo, I don't do turtles. I don't have space for turtles. To do turtles, everything takes space, and turtles would require a lot of space. I mean, I like to think that I give my fish good lives, even though I'm putting them to work breeding for me. I want them to be happy, and the thing is, there's no better indication of them being happy than them breeding for you. If they're breeding, you're doing something right. So they can't be that miserable. They're happy, healthy, they're going to breed, usually. Although some of the tougher ones can take some serious time and effort. So yeah, no turtles, Neo. I like turtles though. Raquel, when I was a kid, my mom bought me a young parrot, and it died in less than 24 hours. It choked on its food. Oh man, that's terrible. Yeah, I don't have any experience with birds. But yeah, it's anytime you can find somebody local that you can obviously tell they care about their livestock, which is a cold sounding word, but whether it's turtles, birds, reptiles, amphibians, fish, all you got to do is talk to them for a few minutes and you'll figure it out. Man, this person's passionate. This person, enjoys what they do. And like me, I don't have people come in the house because Mama would kill me. Because you have to clean the house every time somebody wants to show up. So it is ridiculous. But there's people that don't understand that. They're like, I want to come see your tanks. And I know why they're saying it. It's fine. I understand. I'm a fish person. I would like, before I buy a fish, I like to watch the fish, make sure it looks healthy and is swimming around like it's supposed to. But I can't have anybody do that. So Jordan and I have been working for 5-6 years now to try to build a reputation that we have healthy fish. And based on that, so it is what it is at this point. Regular said, Papa, do you have any wish list fish? Not at this time. I've been lucky. Mama bought me my super whites, so been working on them for a few years, and that was my dream pleco, my dream fish. And I don't have space right now. I got to do some moving around and stuff. If I ever get some space, then maybe I'll try something else to add to the list. But I got a lot going on right now. I got enough going on right now to try to keep up with as it is. So, Trez Lightly says, yeah, I'm a fan of the Ninja Turtles. Yeah. Trez Lightly, yeah, reputation in any business is a must to survive. Yeah. So I've also started asking people to leave feedback, because I got a few local people around here that have bought a lot of fish from me over the last few years, and I just asked them if they'd be kind enough to leave a few words, because I do run across people that have never dealt with me, so I understand they don't quote unquote know if they can trust me. And it sounds like a Craigslist drug deal when I tell them, no, you can't come to my house. I'll meet you up at the corner. And, I hand them a paper bag. They hand me cash. So, yeah, I understand people being apprehensive about that. So I'm trying to get my customers that have dealt with me to leave their feedback and say, hey, yeah, this dude has healthy fish. Hopefully, I'm knowledgeable. I'm always there to answer questions if they have a problem. I tell everybody, my final thing I tell everybody as I'm leaving is, if you have any issues, let me know. I want to know if you have any issues. And 99% of the time, I don't hear anything back. Honestly, most of the time when I hear anything back, they'll message me or whatever, and they'll be like, hey, I need another one of those I got from you about a month ago. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then come to find out, I'll say, oh, were you thinking about breeding them? You getting a couple? And they're like, no, I didn't have the top on my tank, and it jumped out and died. So it's usually user error. But I mean, I take that as a positive, because it lived for a month in their tank and it didn't die of disease or anything. It committed suicide, but that's not, jumped out of the tank. Fish aren't the brightest. But no, it's, and I enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. And not all fish, I'm not a guru about it, and not all fish breed for me. But honestly, I feel like a lot of the times that they don't breed for me is really because I'm not dedicating enough time and effort to that specific fish. And sometimes I can't, so I can enjoy them, but Neo says, do you have at least a favorite fish to handle? Well, I mean, my favorite fish to handle, Neil, is a largemouth bass when I go fishing and I've caught one and I grab it and unhook him. That's my favorite fish to handle. But no, I really enjoy the plecos, just because of the method they breed, how they breed. Excuse me. With fish, you don't do a lot of handling. And, Jordan told me early on, and sometimes has to keep telling me, you got to take a hands-off approach with breeding, especially. And that's true. The less you mess with them, the more, because every time you put your hands in the tank, you're stressing the fish out. So like with this tank, I tried to put some serious thought into it and ahead of time and build what I consider to be a very nice environment for my plecos, for my cories, for them to be happy and healthy and to make babies. Without me, literally all I have to do is do a little bit of water changes and feed them. Let them do their thing. Drogo says, when I was a kid, I had a goldfish jump out of the tank and died, and then their partner died a week later, so ended my fish raising days. Yeah, believe it or not, goldfish are very social. I don't want to make you sad, but he probably was sad. He probably was really sad that his buddy was gone. Goldfish should never be kept alone. And there's fish that are like these cories are like that. They love to be in a group. You should never just have one. Now you can mix cories. Let's say you like the cory catfish and you decide, well, I want one of every kind I can find. And that's okay, because they're still cories and they'll swim along. They'll swim together. They'll school together. So you can do that. And goldfish too. You could have different kinds of goldfish. They just don't want to be alone. So some fish, take that into account when you're buying a fish or thinking about buying a fish. Are they schooling fish? Like these little, you can see the little fellas here. These are neon blue. One of my favorites, Jordan bought them for me too as a present. They're called neon blue rasboras. They are for sure a schooling fish. And you can tell they just want to swim. They love to swim around, but they still don't go far from each other. And there again, that's because they know they're low on the food chain. It's just Mother Nature has pounded it into their head. There's safety in numbers. We need to stick together. So if they decide to go from one end of the tank to the other, they will all move together like a flock of birds, basically. The cories in here are comfortable. They know there's nobody in here that's going to hurt them. So they don't always just hang together that tightly. You'll see cories off by themselves and stuff. But the point is, for their long-term health, they want to be not just a single fish. Theirs are going to be more comfortable. I mean, plecos are they're solitary fish anyway, so you can get away with having one pleco and a different kind of pleco. They don't have to be the same. I was trying to think of other, but yeah, just kind of read up. The biggest thing about fish is do your research ahead of time, and you'll save yourself a huge amount of headaches. So if you spot a fish and you're like, man, that's cool, I'm gonna get a tank and I'm gonna have those fish. Then just go ahead and do your research and find out, okay, what does it take to keep that fish and to keep that fish healthy and happy. And then build your tank accordingly, and take your time with it. The little rice fish seem to just wander off everywhere. Yeah, RB. Yeah, they're technically schooling fish, but they're the platinum rice fish. Yeah, there's only 2 of them in here, so I need to add a couple more. But they don't, and like I said too, fish Fish usually figure out. They'll, especially if you put them in a new environment. Like when I first put these blue neon rasboras in here, they were hiding. They would stay together as a group, but until they figured out, well, there's no real threat in here, they just lived under this rock for like 3 days straight, and just ran around underneath that rock. They're like, we're not coming out till we know the coast is clear. But now they figured out that there's fine. There's nobody in here is going to hurt them. They'll run around. So fish and shrimp are like that, even though they're low on the food chain. If you take your time with them, they'll figure out that there's no threat, and you'll see more natural behavior, not always skittish and hiding everywhere. Hi, Shadow. How's it going? I've always found aquatic life to be very soothing to look at. Yes, it is. It is for sure. I come in here. I sleep in here because Mama kicked me out years ago for snoring. That's probably TMI, but because I was a lot heavier then, and I had definitely had sleep apnea going on and stuff. So I sleep in here, but I really like it. It's quiet. I go to sleep with the sound of the bubbles, and I can watch my fish tanks, and it's very relaxing. It is very relaxing. Science has proven that it reduces stress to watch a fish tank. Eyeshadow, I have sleep apnea as well. I know the struggle. Yeah. So, that and diabetes has been my main good reasons for me to try to lose weight. So I've been doing good. My last doctor's appointment was really encouraging. My A1C was only 1 point above normal range, and so I'm going to take that as a win. Thanks, Regulus. Yeah, their normal was 5.6 is the top end. Mine was 5.7. And when I went in, oh man, I don't know. It's been, let's see, last November was a year, so a year. It's probably been a year and a half when I went in. I was at my heaviest, and my A1C at that point, it was my wake-up call, was 7.1. And she's like, you have diabetes, right? I'm like, no, I didn't know. So yeah, I was not doing well. I was still working and feeling crappy and eating a bunch of bad food, mostly junk food, because my job was running around the Metroplex, driving all day long from house to house to house to house, fixing people's alarm systems. And that just lends you to, if you don't make your lunch ahead of time, then what are you going to do? You're like, well, I got to stop and use the restroom. Let me grab a Coke. Let me grab some Doritos, maybe a fried pie. And, you just do that. Oh, my God, surprise diabetes. Yeah. So, and here's the problem, too, for any of you that might be going down that road that I was. At my age, a lot of people, and I attributed it to, well, I'm getting older. I feel like crap all the time. I'm getting older. It's just par for the course. But it's not so much. And so I encourage you, if you're older and you're struggling every day, just try to find, maybe it'll take a wake up call like it did for me. If not, just try to cut out the junk food. It's just terrible for us. And I've done nothing but just feel better and better and better over the last year and a half. No fried pie has got it. Yeah, I love those apple fried pie, man. Oh, one of my favorites. But yeah, cholesterol and diabetes in a prepackaged. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. The stuff tastes great. I mean, Doritos was my favorite chip ever since I was a kid. I can't tell you how many Doritos I've consumed in my life. Thank you, Zundril. Appreciate it. But yeah, something to work on every day, and eventually, I mean, I am still taking medication officially, but it's a low dosage of metformin, and that's all I've ever taken. And my doctor basically, she's pretty shocked. She's like, most people don't do what you've done, and unfortunately, it's true. And I know it's tough to not eat stuff. It's real tough, but you got to just make a decision and try your best to stick to it. But having a fish tank helps it. It helps you. It's a good distraction, stress reliever. Give you something to keep your hands busy and maybe not eat that candy bar. You know. Can we get a kitty fishing emote fairy? But anyway, that's pretty much it. Oh, one last thing. I was going to show you. I don't know if you're interested or not. Let me see. This is a. You can't see him very well. Let me. It's an assassin snail. These little guys. Thank you, Drogo. I appreciate it. These little guys are a really cool looking little snail. They're kind of cream color and brown. I don't know if it's going to focus on it. And they have that's their shell. Oops. He's retracted in his shell now. He's upset with me, of course. But if you ever have a snail infestation of pest snails that you don't like in your tank, get you a couple of these guys, and they will naturally take care of it for you. They go around and they do their thing to the other snails, if you know what I mean. They're named assassin for a reason. As a matter of fact, quick story. This 40 breeder that you're staring at, I've had this thing for years. And I think the first time I got it, anytime you buy plants from a big box store, they're probably going to have snail eggs in them. But I thought I needed ram's horn snails, so I actually bought some. I actually spent money on them, if you can believe that. It's stupid. But long story short, I ended up with a billion. Yes, 1 billion. I counted them. 1 billion snails in this 40 gallon tank. Snail on snail crime, yes. So I had a billion and a half in here of ram's horns, and part of the problem was me. And you know, when you're trying to breed something, you're going to overfeed the tank. It's just naturally going to happen. So the snails take advantage of that, and they think you want them to breed, and that's all they do. So I think I bought 4 assassin snails, because here's the deal: you can manually remove the snails, but that's a huge deal, huge process. But you don't. They lay eggs everywhere. On everything. And they're not that easy to see. So even if you thought you got all the adults and teenagers and youngsters, you've still got 1 billion eggs just waiting to hatch. So it's a long road if you don't want snails in your tank. It's hard to get rid of them. So I decided I'm going to try the assassin snail route, and I think I bought 5, and I put them in this 40 breeder back in the day. And it took them, and the assassins, they'll reproduce themselves, but they're slower. They're way slower at doing it, and they have a kind of an interesting way or an interesting method. Ram's horns will lay eggs on any surface. Any smooth surface anywhere, but assassin snails, they'll mate, and then the female will bury herself in the substrate, in the sand. She'll just tunnel herself down deep into the substrate. In this case, half an inch, and she lays her eggs in the substrate. And what that does is it protects them from predators. And a lot of times in the substrate, there's technically things for snails to eat. So when the babies hatch, they literally live in the substrate. You won't even see. It's kind of rare that you'll see teeny tiny assassin snails, but you will every once in a while. But generally, they live in the substrate, and you never see them until they feel comfortable and they're big enough. They come out. And then they'll do their thing, and they'll find bigger prey, which is more snails. So it took about a year, but after a year, I had nothing but assassins. The ram's horns were all gone. So it worked. Of course, people at that point will say, well, now you got another snail problem. You got a bunch of assassins. But the assassins, the good thing about it, you can't sell ram's horns hardly. Assassins, people are usually looking for them, so you can sell them, and they're easy to catch. You can bait them to the front, and like I said, they don't make a billion like the other ones do. So it's easy to keep them in control. Let me back up here. $1 billion snails and a shark with the laser beams. They're too busy murdering other snails. Sneaky and taking and giving life easy. And Neil says, did you ever take that big bully whitefish out of the starlight tank? Yes, I did, Neil. He's moved into where he belongs. He's gone. You want to go see the starlights real quick before we end? I think the starlight's one of Neil's favorites. All right, let's hang on. We're gonna. Now I didn't put any food in, so we'll just have to. Hello, it's Astro. Wait, let's see Astro. See Astro. Come here. Come here. Say hi to everybody. We took him for a walk this morning, so he was happy. Let's see. There's one right there. You can always spot them with their white edging. There's some in the back. Let's see. Maybe we can see. Let's see. You want to see Big Daddy? There's Big Daddy. Drogo, you like the shrimp? Yeah, these are the crystal reds that live with the young starlights. They're awesome. And then, of course, we got our Bloody Marys. I'm trying to make more. Oh, I was promised to show you guys the yellow shrimp, and I got them. I got them ready. I almost forgot. Here, let's check out the yellow shrimp real quick. They have a real bright yellow line down the back. They're really cool. Yeah, Drogo, you should try it out. These are called golden back yellow shrimp, and that's because they got that big, broad yellow stripe on the back of them. They're still a Neocaridina. This is just a small 2.5 gallon tank. Yeah, they're yellow. Water bananas. So yeah, these are Neocaridinas. So you can get them in yellow, you can get them the red, you can get them blue. Water bananas. And of course, up above them, we still have, there's our tank with the young super reds in. Short fin super reds. I couldn't feed them for you guys. I apologize. I forgot to make food last night, so I made it this morning, but I haven't dropped it in there yet. And then maybe before we leave, let's take a trip over here. Hopefully I'm not making you seasick. Those are more Snow White long fins. Yeah, planning on Neo Thursday night, 9 o'clock, 9 p.m. Yeah, Neo. Neo's, they're Neocaridina, but I call them Neo for short. And then don't forget, we got our strange looking whiptail catfish. I still think the female's waiting to spawn. I saw her last night and she's still fat, so we're still keeping our fingers crossed with that. And these are orange rice fish. And that Amazon plant in the middle is doing really well. All right, well, I think we should probably wrap it up. Join us for our regular stream. We're going to be, me and Mama are going to be the featured guests today as we race to 60 on our hunters. Y'all know I'm going to beat her, right? You do know that. Thanks, Eyeshadow. That's my goal, is maybe learn something, but yeah, Zundrel, no problem. Usually if I have something and I can't show it to you, I'll try to catch up and do it next time. I'm not giving her slack. But anyway, yeah, that'll be 1 o'clock today, as you know. And I want to thank everybody for being here. You guys always make it way better than me just rambling to myself. So I appreciate you. And if you haven't already, check out my Gary's Fish Room YouTube. Thanks, baby girl. Love you too. And subscribe over there, because these VODs, these lives will be saved over there. Because I'm not big enough for Twitch to save them on Twitch. But they will be saved over there if you want to ever go back over something that we might have talked about, but you forget. But anyway, yeah. Thank you, and we'll see you all later. Take care. Bye-bye.